So we have Iran, which is basically being decimated by the leadership and militaries of the White Hat organization. We're going to see this continue probably for several more weeks. The decimation. So the globalists basically took over Iran 47 plus however many years ago, and started to convert it into what they were going to use as a pretty much controlling the world through nukes. So they were trying to get Iran up to the point where they could use the nuclear capabilities that they were helping to develop in Iran to that point. Now Iran basically was taking all of its oil revenue and putting it into controlling the entire Middle East through their different groups, Hamas, Hezbollah, and many other places, many other groups that there's just so many, ISIS, so forth, and then have puppet rulerships in different states like Iraq and so forth. But we're seeing that being decimated right now. So it's been a long-term, movement to that point. The globalists, like I said, we're going to use Iran as basically controlling the world. You get out of line, we're going to nuke you, with our puppets in Iran. So that was the ultimate goal. So that is why, the White Hat leadership in the different countries and so forth, Saudi Arabia was involved in this. Of course, had to take down the bad leadership that was in Saudi Arabia. So it's been a process. Of course, again, Iran has had their minions and their puppets moving all around the world with the backing of the globalists, and of course Iran's oil revenue, which did not go to its people. So its people have been suppressed for 47 years. They have fled from Iran. They're all around the world. So right now they're celebrating the death of Khomeini, and he was evil incarnate. If you want to pick a Lucifer type person that had incarnated into an individual, he was definitely would be top of the list. And then his minions that surrounded him. Now, the U.S. strike was very interestingly timed because they had an AI system that evidently they probably knew was part of the deep states. It was woke. It was trying to tell the military what they were going to do. And I guess at the last minute, just 9 hours or something like that, I think that the AI system was Anthropic. They basically canned it and said that you will be, part of, turning over all of your AI information to the U.S. military. Don't get out of line, right? So they went with another system. And I think the reason why they did that is because Anthropic was infiltrated by the deep state, and they would have been able to control the strike and other strikes by, the White Hats. So by going in and taking down, these different systems and controlling them in a positive way, we're able to move forward. Now, there's still within our U.S. government, there's still deep state elements, right? There's still deep state elements within every European country. There's still deep state elements within Saudi Arabia, within Kuwait, within, you name the country, Qatar. Still deep state elements out there, guys. And in some cases, very silent. And in other cases, kind of out. We know who they are, like the Hillary and Bill Clinton's deep state puppets. So they were removed from, their power. Joe Biden, who was executed before he even got to office, and then a puppet, I think, of maybe back and forth, a deep state and, the White Hats. Both of them utilized him or that position. So that's part of a bigger picture that's going on right here. So understanding that, we're in a war, and whatever successes that we've had significant successes so far in Iran. but it will continue as far as like the strikes. So the decimation of the Iranian, IRGC, they're basically their military arm, will continue. And I think if they continue their missile strikes, because again, Iran is still under the thumb of the deep state, globalist. So they have to continue. And this is what's going to happen for the next several years. Like many of us have been predicting, once this goes kinetic, which the deep state war has now gone kinetic on a massive scale. It's been, little bits here and there, people being exposed, five-dimensional chess moves and so forth, like we've been talking about for several years. Now it's kinetic. Now the kinetic will reach probably, action will probably reach everywhere, right? So we know that they have basically infiltrated the United States with their terrorist organizations. And at some point, I would say within the next few weeks or so, we're going to start to see kinetic activity from their terrorist cells that are all around the world, right? So again, all of the money, deep state monies, which was substantial and still is, we talk trillions, but they're on the quadrillion dollar level, Now, as things progress, and people are taken out, there's going to be multiple victories, but they will have their victories as well, right? This is a war, a widespread war, and once these terrorist activities start, it's going to be devastating. Now, here in America, we're not prepared for it on the level that it's going to happen, right? And Europe is they're probably unbelievably going to devastate Europe, all right? So because they have no guns. Now, we at least have guns, but we're not organized. We should have been organizing years ago, but this is part of the deep state puppetry that's been going on, throughout much of the U.S. to prevent that from happening, against good militia and so forth that could have been forming. So those militias will have to form, and they will form very rapidly. I'm sure there's many of us that are ready to start that process. We just have to get the green light. And the green light may be once the attack starts, and then we just form. So President Trump is a destroyer. He is not the man that's going to create going forward. We are going to create. So he's destroying the deep state, and then it's going to be up to us to create within our own communities, our counties, our states, and so forth, the new America that's going to go forward. So many of these places are going to resist because they have deep state MK Ultra puppetry that's going on in a lot of these states and so forth. Many of these people have probably been taken out at the higher levels, but some of them still remain. And some of them are figureheads. I think Gavin Newsom is just a figurehead. It's easy to see that people like that will probably go to the wayside very quickly. I predicted that for a long time. I predicted that we would probably see this war initiate either this weekend or I said next weekend. And the reason why I don't give specifics is because people watch me and it would have an impact. So I want there to be this, sometimes you have to have a surprise. And that's what happened with the top leadership in Iran. They were probably bunkered down real hard during the night, early morning hours, and then during the day, which very rarely there's strikes, and they thought that their systems would have been able to prevent any attacks, but they got hit at a time where rarely ever are there attacks on the level that happened. So again, I think AI systems that they had developed and implemented at the last minute were able to carry these things off. Now here in the United States, for the last several years, there's been a lot of Nuke sniffers. These are planes that fly and they have very sophisticated software and so forth, and scanning devices, and satellite communication and communication with other aircraft that are in the air, looking for nukes. And they've been flying around. So obviously they've been looking for nukes for several years here in the United States. I believe they have been, hunting and finding a lot of these nukes that have been in the United States in many major cities that were going to be set off. All right. So this is one of the reasons why Donald Trump, I believe, stepped back during the 2020 election still, and then he was still in charge. Remember, he got on a plane before he met with the Biden lookalike guy, and so he should have been giving him the biscuit for the nuke codes. And he just got on an aircraft early and flew away. He wasn't at the fake inauguration that had happened earlier, right? So a lot of this is, we've been observing this and talking about this for years. It's not as much well known as it should be at this point. We're at the point now where things are going to start to accelerate, and if you don't have a good foundational understanding of what's happening, you're going to get really confused and maybe even angry and speak out and get involved in some of these ridiculous demonstrations that are happening. Because I've heard from friends that have asked me yesterday, do you think this is all about Israel, protecting Israel? It's like this. No, it's like protecting the world against the deep state. It's a globalist system we're taking down. All right. So fortunately, we have elements within Israel that have been very helpful. Now, again, same thing. Is all of Israel, white hat? No, of course not. There's Rothschild built Israel. Of course, there's, it's riddled with deep state elements. Same as the United States, riddled throughout our military and so forth. President Trump, remember, we met with all those generals and admirals, maybe a couple months back, and he said, "You're either with us or against us." And I'm 45, 46, and 47. If you don't like that, there's a door. Well, probably a lot of those admirals and generals didn't leave that meeting, right? That's my thoughts. So riddled with deep state guys. They've had many decades to infiltrate and take over. They've had virtually unlimited, funding to create these, pay people off and pay other people to take out people that were not part of their team, that were never going to be converted. All right. So many of us have, been subjected to their terror attacks and attempts at our lives and our families and so forth. But we have been involved in the war for a long time. Unfortunately, many of you have been on another level. So, my background is, 24 years in the SEAL teams and the highest level of SEAL Team 6 with combat experience, in charge of a lot of, organizations, create a lot of organizations within the SEAL teams, very, very high level stuff, work with very, very high level people, and very, very high level top secret stuff. So I get to see a lot of stuff. And I saw over time, especially as I got out and started to work as a security contractor for the CIA for 11 years, the deep involvement of the deep state within a lot of these institutions. And for the most part, they've taken over many of these institutions. They even made a run at the SEAL teams and were very close to controlling the SEAL teams. And Donald Trump came in and basically started cleaning that up. So there is a lot of cleanup that still needs to be done within our country. And we're going to have people on there going to talk about that. In our states, of course, California being one of the worst, Illinois, Chicago, we have, where did Obama come from? Chicago. So he's probably one of the worst infiltrated, treasonous presidents in history, but there's been a lot. There's been a lot of them. Jimmy Carter was one. So we can go through a lot of different people that have been treasonous over time, and that's going to be brought out. Now you go to another state like New York. which is very, very problematic now, because we have an Islamist that is there running the mayorship, Mamdani, in New York, one of the most populous cities in America, if not the most populous city in America. So we have the Islamists that have been infiltrating. And again, if we go all the way back to Iran, like I said, if we were going to look at a figure that had been Lucifer incarnate, that was him, and he's gone now. So you're going to have, like we've seen in Pakistan, the U.S. embassies are going to get attacked by these Islamist puppets, right? So in Pakistan, in Lahore, where I spent a lot of time, in Karachi, they killed 9 people that were trying to, make a move on the embassy. So the embassies, the embassy's actually in Islamabad. There's like movement to go into that one. So the other, places where we have consulates in Karachi, like I said, Peshawar and Lahore, they're being attacked, right? So this is all coordinated, just like 30 minutes before President Trump came out and said that we had just started attacking the Islamists in Iran. We had demonstrators setting up in New York, right, before. So they knew it was coming, and they were setting up with their demonstrators with all their signs already made and everything. So as women in Iran are celebrating because they no longer have to wear the hijab, or whatever that thing called, where they wear the covering, they were celebrating because they have thrown off the dictatorship, the evil group that was controlling them. Women in Iran are treated like cattle. I've been to a lot of these Islamist states throughout the Middle East, and women are below or the lowest of the low. And you would think that, especially in New York, where you have, the feminist craziness, they would be all happy for them. No, they're being, pushed to demonstrate. This is the kind of craziness. It doesn't make sense in any world that you would have people demonstrating because people are being free, women are being freed. So you have women in New York on a massive scale, probably, and it will continue in a lot of other U.S. cities, I believe, that are demonstrating because they feel that they should still be enslaved. Wow, right? So this is the level of capture and control that we have throughout the world by the globalist deep state guys, right? So like I'm saying, this is the beginning of the kinetic activity. All right. So the kinetic activity, I think, will be very severe in New York. Right. So these liberal idiots that are running around with their little signs, protesting, they're in big trouble right now because, New York has let these Islamists in. So has Texas. So has, Texas. You think the Republic of Texas? No way. Yeah. Governor Abbott is a deep state puppet, guys. Right. So he has let that border stay wide open. And it wasn't until like a couple of years ago that a lot of us got together and started to protest that he made the effort now, because everybody's watching him. And he's supposed to be one of the good guys. He started to stop the border invasion in Texas. So it's one of those things that we're going to have to look at. The Islamists that are around the country now are going to probably be a massive problem, guys. They're very, very, like I've been saying, emotionally illiterate, and they're going to be, like a fire. They're going to be started, and they're going to riot and destroy like nothing we've ever seen. All right, so this is going to be a massive problem wherever the Islamists have come into. We're seeing in some states, Minnesota, Minneapolis, and so forth, where you have the Islamists that have come from the Somaliland, right? So the pirates of Somalia, Islamist pirates, it's crazy. So a lot of these places that have the Somali pirates are going to have problems too, because they're going to riot, right? We've already seen Ilhan Omar at the State of the Union, speaking out in ways that, she basically should have been arrested and taken away and just deported right there, right? So why are they letting her stay? Because she's going to be part of the reveal, right? So the reveals have to continue. Yeah, they're like the locust, absolutely. And, you have to burn them out. You're going to have to burn them out, guys, all right? It's going to be tragic going forward. So in the dark of the night, 10 minutes before President Donald Trump even announced that the U.S. and Israel had attacked Iran, a network of U.S. nonprofits aligned with China, Russia, and Tehran activated foot soldiers to hit America's streets, right? So this is, it's on. We have these groups that are out there, protesting. They're definitely going to be a problem going forward. We need to be aware of that. They will be basically in the way of us, going after the Islamists when they start to, do terrorist attacks in the United States and the rest of the places in the world. And that's frustrating because having to shoot around idiots like that at the real target is going to be, they're going to find out. They're effing around. They're going to find out, guys. All right. So I have friends in New York City. Still, I feel your pain. So we know, we that are awake know. But how many people have been MK Ultra'd? Most people, NPCs, all kind of crazy stuff out there, guys. All right, so let's look at some other things. 3 tankers damaged in Gulf as U.S.-Iran conflict escalates. So you're probably, I would highly recommend that you go out and gas up all of your vehicles now. And if you have extra cans, maybe gas them up, because the price of gas is going to go higher. And it always happens in these Middle Eastern conflicts like this, guys. It's just part of what happens, because everybody's, well, right now, the Strait of Hormuz, where a lot of oil flows. Now, you would think at this point, we're not dependent on that. But, these people that control the price of oil as well are going to see this opportunity to make a little extra income, right? So we'll see probably the price of oil explode upwards until Iran becomes no longer a factor in potentially controlling the Strait of Hormuz. So oil shipments in Persian Gulf already disrupted. So the price of oil will skyrocket. That will blow up inflation. We will have deflation, as we're already seeing right now, in the housing, because it's basically, a card of, debt, and it's going to get, one of those cards is going to get pulled, and they're all going to fall down. So that the housing price, where a lot of people, depend on their, their income and their sense of, I'm rich or whatever they have going on, is going to crumble. Right. The price of silver and gold are going to skyrocket, and there won't be any holding them back this time, guys. Stock market probably going to get some big hits going forward, and then who knows, as the war, as maybe it seems that it's under control. That's when the stock market might recover and come back a little bit. But I've been predicting that the first quarter was going to be when the stock market was going to really take a big hit. So I would venture to say that the opening bell tomorrow morning, start watching the futures tonight around 6 o'clock Eastern time is when the futures start. So you're going to see a downward implosion in probably the prices of the stock market. Now, somebody bet heavy in put options just before the close on Friday. It's kind of like those companies, or somebody that invested heavy puts in aircraft companies just before 9/11. So was that the congressmen and women that basically seemed to profit heavily on the stock market? Marjorie Taylor Greene, massive culprit. who decided to basically bail and leave us hanging, where we're very tight in Congress for Republicans to pass votes. And she decided January 3rd or whatever she's going to bail because people don't like her in the way she wants them to. I say bullshit. She's a deep state puppet, right? So we're going to see a lot of people like that going forward. It's going to be very obvious. They're going to be exposed. I think our government basically gets replaced by something else at some point. I think most of the religions get replaced by something else going forward. They're going to be exposed, which I say 85 and 90% of the religious institutions here in the United States are corrupt. I would say pretty much all of Islam is corrupt, all of it, right? Everywhere. So, of course, there's good people within all of these religions, guys. And a lot of people have been banging up on the Jews because they think that, you know, it's some kind of Khazarian mafia. Yes, that does exist. But many good people within all of these religions, we have to break free from this massive globalist control system that's everywhere. And part of that's probably going to be at some point breaking free from these religions. You're going to see that, you know, I think going forward that your connection to God is not part of any religion. And I think once that becomes very obvious to most people, then religions just fall away like so fast, it'll be ridiculous. Same thing with our governmental systems throughout the world. We're going to see how manipulated and controlled they are. We already do, right? So they'll fall away, and because they can't continue. The CIA, the FBI, you name the three-letter agency, it's probably, if it's a three-letter agency, for the most part, it's probably been created by the deep state, right? So all of that has to go away. Now, can it go away tomorrow? Of course not. There's a lot of these idiots, like I was talking about, they're going to support this shit. And so they have to either be educated or removed and other people put into place so they can be, you know, taken apart, right? So we've seen that with Doge, the beginning of that. Now that's going to accelerate as far as like the corruption and the graft and the, you know, nepotism and so forth that's been going on, you know, around the world, not just here in America. That gets exposed on a massive level, especially with the Epstein files, you know, exposing that. Epstein, you know, and their group was part of the deep state globalist, you know, control system. So that control system has shattered, and more of that information is coming out. Now, I've seen some reports that some of that information is in Iran, and that's one of the reasons why we're hitting Iran. You might remember that Obama basically sent billions of dollars to Iran in cash on a U.S. military aircraft. What was that? I think we're going to find out that was pretty much a payoff to allow them to start to keep documentation and so forth in some of their bunker systems. So that will be seized, I think, soon, and more exposure will happen. So, you know, the level of the deep state throughout the world is going to be staggering to everyone. You know, it's staggering to me now, but as things get, you know, exposed, you're just going to shake your head. You know, the trillions, I said initially it was $1 trillion worth of fraud in California. And as the information starts to come, it's like, no, that's a lowball number. It's trillions, right? So our national debt, which is, you know, I don't know, 30 something trillion, whatever it is, you know, that's part of the deep state puppetry that's been going on to steal from we, the people of America. All right. So we, the people, are going to decide, you know, what goes forward. But the destruction of those systems that have been controlling and manipulating and robbing us have to be destroyed. And then once they're destroyed, it's up to us. And that's the way it was always us. They stole it from us and made us believe that it was the government that took care of us, but that was the deep state. So the government has to be completely dissolved because that's the deep state. The government's the deep state, right? You have one or two people in there. I'm just under, because President Trump, and he's got a whole group of people that are, I think, are, you know, very involved and very, very perfect for this. Now, some of these people that are there are still being exposed, just like he did in his first government. So the exposure and the the destruction, the takedown, we're looking at years into the future, guys. It's a war, and wars don't end, especially when you look at World War I, World War II. Civil wars probably in every country for hundreds, thousands of years. That's all deep state. That's all deep state. So thinking that the deep state goes down with the takedown of Iran is ridiculous, right? It's going to be a kinetic thing that's going to happen. It's going to happen in every country. People are going to rise up. There'll be kinetic activity from people basically taking down who they know are deep state, just like the Iranians tried to do. But they were killed. They were decimated. 33,000. Who knows how many the number really is. There were probably people that were snatched and put in underground, torture places and all kind of crazy stuff. So the real numbers will probably, come out later. Those numbers of torture and people being killed and so forth, that's not just going to be confined to Iran. I bet we're going to find this kind of stuff's been going on in Europe and in the United States and other countries, Mexico, you name the country, for quite some time now. Mexico, we saw how simple and easy it was to a great extent. Of course, the military members that were involved in that seizure of Maduro. Wow, it's crazy. How that. I mean, it doesn't it seem like, like when was that? Like years ago. So things have flown by, right? So we never had a kinetic activity in Venezuela. That was one of the ones that was easy to take down. Cuba, we're probably, I don't know if we're going to have a non-kinetic activity taking down the deep state in Cuba. Mexico, it's gotten pretty brutal in Mexico, and I think it's going to continue. And I think it's going to be a lot worse, unfortunately. Canada. So you have Canada, you have the deep state, and Canada has to be taken down. So we're surrounded, guys. And I remember there was this one vision, supposedly, that, President Washington had, where he saw, this coming civil war. And then he saw where America surrounded by enemies, and there was going to be, smoke, and you weren't going to know who was your enemy, who was your friend, all across America, and then it would clear, and America would finally be good. So Juan O'Savin has talked about that near-death experience for the United States. So it still remains to be seen what that looks like. Will that be a literal nuclear strike, or some of these energy weapons have been using, they come out with something even more devastating, or some kind of devastation that happens, which I think is possible still in California. Of course, I'm close to California. I'm trying to mitigate that through my consciousness, right? I know a lot of you guys do the same thing. Now, as things get even more hectic out there, I'm looking at French naval ship in Red Sea intercepts 2 drones. So we're probably going to see a wider involvement from France and England and maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe Bahrain, and some of the other countries are going to start getting involved. It's going to be a literal world war, right, against Iran. But remember, it's not against Iran per se. It's against the globalist. So once we have this knocked out, it's not going to be, we're all hunky-dory. Iran's, the evil in Iran's eliminated. No. This is the kinetic beginning. The kinetic beginning, right? We'll see more of this activity all around the world, right? Maybe not on this level, maybe, and maybe we will for some cities around the world, where the deep state and the leftist and leftists are not just in the United States, leftists are around the world, and the criminally insane you know, low IQ, low emotional IQ, you know, leftists that are going to demonstrate because they've been, you know, they find them. And then they program them through the school system, and then they program them through the political system and so forth. So we have years, decades and decades of programming for a lot of these people. They're going to fight us, right, within our own cities, right? So that's one of the things we have to look forward to, right? I say we look forward to it because it's time for that bullshit to end, right? It's time for that to get cleaned up so we can move on and create the world that we're dreaming of. We've been dreaming of for decades and decades and decades. All my life, I've been dreaming of this world that I was like, where is it? What's stopping it? The deep state, right? So the deep state, once it's removed, and they're going to fight all the way to the end, right? They're programmed to fight and go, just like I saw when we went into Iraq. They basically had guerrilla warfare. So we're going into guerrilla warfare. We will be going into guerrilla warfare with the deep state, right? So their main systems are being destroyed, just like I said, just like in Iraq. But that war went on for a while. Now, part of the reason why that war went on for as long as it did is because of the deep state elements that were involved in controlling, manipulating that thing to continue. It could have been, a few months. In fact, it was so fast that they sent the Marines, who were exceptional at this. They sent them to Afghanistan, and then Afghanistan was done. And then they were like, well, let's send them back to Iraq, because Iraq, and I can tell you, Iraq, the reason why it continued to get so violent, so crazy, is because you had deep state puppets that were puppeting things in Iraq, right? So then you get the Marines back in there. Fortunately, Marines aren't, completely controlled by the deep state. They came in and cleaned up again. So will we have Marines clean up here in the United States? Yes, we've already started that process. We started in LA. So we'll continue this process. At some point, executive order comes out so that we have free and fair elections. It may be too far into the game now for that to be successful. So we may see the election pushed, and that would be, I think, more beneficial. I just heard Juan O'Savin, and I'd love to talk to him in more detail about some of these things, because I went on a giant search yesterday in the mountainous areas in Nevada, where the ancient tribes had said that they had killed giants. Right? They were hiding out in caves and so forth, and coming in and cannibalizing them. So eventually they ganged up and basically took out the giants. These giants and remnants of the giants, the skeletal remains and all kind of stuff, those have disappeared, right? And this goes back to who I believe the deep state is, a negative ET group that basically came in, the fallen, Lucifer's angels, basically a war in heaven. They were cast down into the earth. They were probably coming to completely take over Earth. There was some kind of intervention that was started, and that intervention is continuing to this day. So it is a war against good and evil. They have hidden a lot of this stuff. At one time, there was like some kind of handprint in the rock, and that giant must have been, he must have had samadhi, where he had, total enlightenment, and he pushed his hand into solid rock. So they came in and scraped that out. So, and we don't know where the giant mummies that they found are, that they just disappear this stuff. They hide all this stuff. So this is the deep state activity, trying to cover up, their intervention here in America and taking over our world, not just America, but the world. So that's going to be revealed. So that's a massive rabbit hole to go down, right? So that alone is like, wow. You look at that and you're like, well, we need to understand the foundation of why this deep state globalist thing is here. That's where we need to go. We need to find that out, just like we're going to destroy the deep state. They're 47 years of getting Iran ready to basically manipulate and control the world, and now that's been taken away. Probably have some backups to that. All right. So probably have some backups to that. So we're going to get some of that soon. Now they'll probably, try and work as long as they can, Iran. They'll keep Iran, they got missile systems and all kind of stuff. They're shooting at everybody now, everybody in the Middle East. So that should show you right there that that's the deep state. Iran, Iran wouldn't do that if they were, real people with, a sense of, purpose and connection with the rest of the Middle East. It is a deep state, operation that's going off right now in Iran. So that has to be completely eliminated, and everybody's waking up to that. And it's like those first strikes that we saw with the most powerful military in the world, with the help of Israel, the good military in Israel, we did that initial strike. Now everybody else is going to start to pour in, right? I believe. Because it's like, okay, if we can completely knock them out, and if the people can take over, and all of the IRGC that are still there, surrender and say, hey, we don't want to die. No, guys. Remember, they're going to fight to the death, all right? And just like they did in many Middle Eastern countries that I went to over the years, they just go into guerrilla warfare, all right? So they're prepared to do that, and they're prepared to do that around the world. So we just already saw some of their activity in Pakistan, where they sent their minions in to start to go after the United States embassies. Now, I was in, Pakistan back when they had, this one woman that was Bashir, I think, that was running for prime minister. She was assassinated. So they came after all the Christians all over the country, and they came after all of our embassies and our consulates with their, brainwashed minions. I was like, what? That's your government that did that. It wasn't United States. Well, who knows? Maybe it was the United States, deep state. But regardless, this is an opening salvo, I think, that we're seeing in Pakistan. We'll probably see more of this, like we're already seeing the demonstrations, like I said, in New York, already prepared, even before President Trump came out and said we're doing the attack, right? And they're got the signs prepared and everything. So we have deep state elements throughout the world. China, controlled, like Juan said, by the British Empire. So we have, the British Empire, another major place where, Rothschild's activity is, France, Rothschild activity. Those governments, although they may act like they're playing, I think there are elements, like I said, of the military and white hat activity that are there. But still, you're going to have to clear out those black hats, right? Starmer and, all the other idiots that are running. The only ones that I see, Hungary is good, Italy, kind of, sort of, right? So we have a few places where we have good leadership, white hat leadership within some of those countries. But for the most part, most of those countries are going to be cleaned, right? The leadership of those countries. So that's I don't know. I guess it's either going to be kinetic activity, or they've been playing all along and they're going to step aside, and I don't know. So it'll be some of that and then some of the other. So this is war. It's been war gamed. But I can tell you, after having been in wars for most of my life, for 35 years in the military and CIA, it doesn't always go as planned. And both sides have surprises for the other side. And so we're going to see some of those, and we're going to see how some of those work out. So some of those surprises could be devastating for one side and give the other side a lot of ends, a lot of takedowns. But that can happen on the good guy side too, guys, right? So, we've already seen U.S. military that has been killed probably from some of the missile attacks on the U.S. bases. They around the Middle East, they basically downsized those for the most part, left skeleton crews. Some of those skeleton crews have to be out and about. If they get the warning soon enough, they'll run to, survival shelters, bunkers or whatever. But if they're not fleet of foot or get enough warning or have to stay because they're running some kind of, computer program or something that's like watching all that stuff, then we're probably going to see, unfortunately, people get taken out. You have aircraft, occasionally there's a lucky, anti-aircraft missile that gets up there. So we're going to see, some people that are going to get taken down. But for the most part, the enemy is being devastated on a massive level. And this always happens on the U.S. Side. We'd like to see that no one ever gets taken out, but that's very rare in a war, right? So gird yourself for, celebrate this victory we're having right now. It will get better as time goes on, and then it will get, we'll 3 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 5 steps forward, 1 step back. It'll be like that for quite some time, right? So, keep positive, watch the activity. Don't let the knuckleheads who've been brainwashed get to you. Just keep your focus and don't get in arguments with emotionally immature and people that are uninformed, that can't do critical thinking. It's not worth your time, guys. All right. So, stay focused, work with the people that are awake, be with the groups that are awake. I see a lot of you guys blowing up the chat. That's great. Mary Ellen, you're going to wear your bacon perfume. That'll keep them away. That'll be like, the garlic for the Gavin Newsom and, who's the New York governor. God, both of them so look like vampires. I'm like, wow. It's like so obvious. So yeah, garlic, bacon. So that'll be Kathy Hochul. All right. So, and then you have Fatty up in Illinois. So that talk about bacon. All right, guys. Take no prisoners. We can't take prisoners, guys. All right. Or if we take prisoners, we put them in a submarine and ship them off to Guantanamo and the underground facilities there, or Greenland or Guam, or probably who knows where else. So a lot of these people should never come back and see the light of day, right? In one way or another. And if they're really horrific, like Joe Biden and some of these other people, they don't get a pass for, living the rest of their lives in a cell, right? All right, guys. Shark bait. Yep. Prickster. Yes. Lots of love, guys. Stay in love vibration. It's a good against evil war. So you have to stay in that love vibration, because they're going to try and suck you into fear. There's no fear here. There's basically celebration, because we're taking down the deep state on a massive level.